The air inside the courtroom was suffocating. Reporters packed the gallery, cameras flashed from every corner, and the judge's gavel felt like a countdown to Ava Thompson's destruction. She sat at the defense table in a tailored navy dress, her hands folded neatly in her lap, her back straight. She had spent the last 3 weeks preparing for this moment, and yet nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen. Calling Mr. Ethan Collins to the stand, the bailiff announced. Ava's breath caught. Her fiancé. The man she had loved for 7 years. The man she had supported through law school, through his first failed firm, through every sleepless night when he doubted himself. Ethan Collins, now a named partner at one of the city's most prestigious firms, walked to the witness stand with the kind of composed confidence that had made him a legend in the courtroom. He adjusted his cufflinks, the ones she had given him for his 30th birthday, and raised his right hand to swear in. Ava told herself he was here to help. He had to be. He was the only person who knew the full story, who had seen the files, who understood that she had never touched those confidential documents that had been leaked to a competitor. She had been framed. She had told him everything the night before the indictment. He had held her while she cried and said, "I believe you, Ava. I'll figure this out." That was 3 days ago. Mr. Collins, the prosecutor began, "Can you confirm your relationship to the defendant?" "Ms. Thompson and I are engaged," Ethan said. His voice was steady, professional, distant. "We've been together for 7 years. Have you had access to the confidential files in question?" "Yes. As her legal counsel and fiancé, I was aware of the materials." The prosecutor stepped closer. "Mr. Collins, did Ms. Thompson ever discuss those files with you?" Ava looked at Ethan. "Please," she thought. "Please just tell the truth." "Yes," Ethan said. Ava's stomach dropped. "She told me she had reviewed them," Ethan continued. "She said she needed to understand the merger details before the board meeting. She knew exactly what she was doing." The courtroom erupted. Whispers, gasps, the sound of 100 phones typing simultaneously. Ava stared at Ethan like he had just spoken in a language she didn't understand. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the jury with that same expression he used when he was closing a case, focused, persuasive, absolutely certain. "Objection." Ava's court-appointed attorney shot to his feet. "Your Honor, this testimony is sustained," the judge said, but the damage was done. The words were already in the air. Already poisoning everything. Ava's hands started to shake. She gripped the edge of the table to steady them. "He's lying," she thought. "He's lying. He knows I never said that. He knows I never touched those files." "Mr. Collins," the prosecutor pressed, "are you saying that Ms. Thompson knowingly accessed and distributed confidential information?" "I'm saying she had access, she discussed the contents with me, and she understood the sensitivity of the materials," Ethan said. "What she did with them after that, I can't speak to her intentions. But she was fully aware of what those files contained." Ava felt like the floor had been pulled out from under her. 7 years. 7 years of late-night study sessions, of proofreading his briefs, of canceling her own plans because a client emergency came up, of smiling through family dinners where his mother asked when she was finally going to do something with her life instead of just supporting Ethan. 7 years of believing that when the world turned against her, he would be the one person who stood in her corner. And he had just handed the prosecution the weapon to destroy her. She turned her head slightly. In the gallery, Claire Wilson was sitting in the 3rd row, dabbing at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Claire. Ethan's childhood friend who had returned to the city 6 months ago and somehow, overnight, become the center of his universe. The same Claire who had been in the office at 2 a.m. the night those files went missing. The same Claire who had cried to Ethan that Ava was jealous and unstable and trying to sabotage her career. Ava had defended Claire. She had told Ethan, "Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Let's talk to her." She had been the bigger person. She had been the understanding one. She had been the fool. "Ms. Thompson," the judge said, "do you wish to make a statement before we proceed to deliberation?" Ava opened her mouth. Her throat was dry. She looked at Ethan one more time, searching his face for something, anything, that looked like the man she had fallen in love with. But all she saw was the cold, calculated expression of a lawyer protecting his own interests. And Claire. He was protecting Claire. "Your Honor," Ava said, her voice barely above a whisper at first. Then stronger. "I did not access those files. I did not distribute them. And I did not, She looked directly at Ethan now. Ask anyone to lie for me. The doors at the back of the courtroom burst open. Every head turned. A man in a charcoal suit strode down the center aisle, a leather briefcase in one hand, his expression carved from stone. Ryan Anderson. 6'2", broad-shouldered, the kind of man who didn't walk into a room so much as claim it. He was the heir to the Anderson Group, one of the largest conglomerates in the country, and a renowned international attorney in his own right. He was also the boy who had grown up next door to Ava, who had defended her when the neighborhood kids said she couldn't play because she was too quiet, who had never, not once in 26 years, looked at her like she was anything less than extraordinary. Your Honor, Ryan said, his voice carrying across the silent courtroom. I'm entering new evidence into the record. Exhibit B47. Security footage from the building on the night in question. Timestamped. It clearly shows Ms. Wilson entering the file room at 1:47 a.m. 2 hours before Ms. Thompson even arrived at the office. The prosecutor snatched the file from the bailiff. This footage was not previously disclosed. It was just recovered from a secondary server that was wiped, Ryan said, not breaking eye contact with the judge. The original drive was tampered with. We have a forensic report confirming the deletion occurred at 3:12 a.m. On the same night. Ms. Wilson's access badge was used. Not Ms. Thompson's. Ethan's head snapped toward Claire. She had gone pale, her hand frozen mid-dab at her eye. For one brief, devastating second, Ava saw something flicker across Ethan's face, doubt, maybe. Or guilt. Or the horrifying realization that he had just destroyed the woman he claimed to love based on a lie from a woman he barely knew. Given this new evidence, the judge said slowly, the court finds there is reasonable doubt as to the defendant's involvement. Ms. Thompson, you are released pending further investigation. This case is adjourned. The gavel came down. Ava stood. Her legs felt like they might give out, but she didn't falter. She gathered her bag, smoothed her dress, and walked toward the aisle. She didn't look at Ethan. She didn't look at Claire. She walked straight toward Ryan, who was waiting for her at the end of the row, his jaw tight, his eyes blazing with a fury he was barely containing. Ava, wait. Ethan's voice. Desperate. Raw. It cracked on her name in a way she had never heard before. She stopped. Turned. Just enough to see him pushing past the bar, his tie loosened, his hair disheveled, the perfect image of the composed attorney completely shattered. Ava, please, he said. You have to understand, Claire said you were upset, that you'd been drinking, that you might have done something impulsive. I was trying to protect you by testifying against me? Ava's voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes after a storm has passed and left nothing but wreckage behind. By telling the court I confessed to something I never did? By believing her over me? She was crying, Ava. She was falling apart. I didn't know what to believe, but I thought if I said you knew about the files, at least they'd go easier on you. You thought wrong. Ava took a step toward him. You didn't testify to protect me, Ethan. You testified to protect Claire. Because you've been protecting her from the moment she came back to this city. Because you'd rather believe a woman you've known for 6 months than the woman who's been by your side for 7 years. That's not, Ava, I love you. You know I love you. Do I? She tilted her head. Because love doesn't put you on the stand and lie about you. Love doesn't choose someone else's tears over your truth. Love doesn't make you the villain in a story you never wrote. Ryan stepped up beside her, his hand hovering near the small of her back, close enough to offer support, far enough to let her make her own choice. Ava, he said quietly, we should go. She looked at Ryan. Then back at Ethan. And for the first time in 7 years, she chose someone else. She turned and walked out of that courtroom with Ryan Anderson at her side. She didn't look back. Not once. Behind her, Ethan Collins, the man who had never lost a case, who had never shown weakness in public, who had built his entire reputation on control, sank onto the nearest bench and buried his face in his hands. And he wept. Ava didn't sleep that night. She sat at the small kitchen table in the apartment she had shared with Ethan for 4 years, a mug of cold coffee in front of her, and stared at the stack of case files she had spent the last month organizing for his upcoming trial. Her name wasn't on any of them. It never had been. She was always the one in the background, researching, drafting, proofreading, fixing the arguments he would take credit for in court. She picked up the top file. Collins Hayes v. Sterling Corp. She had written the entire motion to dismiss. Ethan had presented it as his own. She had smiled and told him he was brilliant. God, she had been so stupid. The front door opened at 6:42 a.m. She heard his footsteps in the hallway, heavy, uncertain. He appeared in the kitchen doorway still in yesterday's suit, his eyes red, his hair a mess. He looked like a man who had been awake all night trying to figure out how to undo something that couldn't be undone. Ava, he said. His voice was rough. We need to talk. I think we've said enough in court yesterday. I need you to understand. I understand perfectly. She set the file down. You chose her. You chose Claire. Over me. Over the truth. Over 7 years. Ethan ran both hands through his hair. You don't get it. Claire came to me 2 weeks ago, completely hysterical. She said she'd made a mistake, that she panicked and moved those files because she thought she was being fired. She was terrified, Ava. She didn't know who else to turn to. And you believed her. She was crying. She was falling apart. What was I supposed to do, throw her to the wolves? You were supposed to ask me, Ava said. You were supposed to come to me and say, Claire says she moved the files. What do you know about this? You were supposed to give me the benefit of the doubt. But you didn't. You went straight to the prosecution and told them I confessed to something I never did. I didn't say you confessed. I said you knew about the files. You said I knew what I was doing. In a federal courtroom. Under oath. Ava stood up. Do you have any idea what that does to my reputation? To my career? To my life? Ethan stepped toward her. I was trying to buy you time. I thought if I admitted you had access, the judge would see it as a misunderstanding, not a crime. I was trying to keep you out of prison, Ava. You were trying to protect Claire and hoping I'd take the fall quietly, Ava said. Don't dress it up as chivalry, Ethan. It's pathetic. He flinched. For a second, she thought he might actually hear her. Then his jaw set, and the lawyer in him took over, the part that always had to win, always had to be right. You're being dramatic, he said. You're twisting this into something it's not. Claire just needed help. She's been through a lot, her father's illness, the pressure at work, coming back to this city after everything that happened with her ex. She's fragile right now. I was being a decent human being by not destroying her. Fragile, Ava repeated. The word tasted like poison. She's been in my office. She's been in our home. She's cried on your shoulder while I made dinner for 3 because you forgot to tell me she was coming over. And I was the one who told you to be patient with her. I was the one who said, she's your friend, give her grace. And this is how you repay me? You're making this about jealousy, Ethan said, his voice rising. This isn't about Claire. This is about you feeling threatened because another woman needs my attention. Ava laughed. It came out sharp and hollow. Jealousy? Ethan, I built you. I proofread your first bar exam essay. I paid our rent for 6 months when your firm wasn't making money. I canceled my own law school applications because you said we should focus on one career at a time. I gave up everything, so you could be the golden boy. And you're standing here telling me I'm jealous? You wanted to go to law school, Ethan said, and there was something cold in his eyes now. Nobody stopped you. You chose to stay home. You chose to be the supportive girlfriend. That was your decision, Ava. Don't act like I forced you. The silence that followed was deafening. Ava looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something inside her finally, fully break. Not the way it had broken in the courtroom, where there was still shock and disbelief. This was different. This was clarity. This was the moment she realized the man standing in front of her wasn't the man she had loved. Maybe he had never been that man at all. You're right, she said quietly. It was my decision. And today, I'm making a new one. She walked to the desk in the corner, the same desk where she had written half of his briefs, answered half of his emails, managed half of his life. She pulled out a folder and placed it on the table between them. What's this? Ethan asked. Dissolution of domestic partnership. Termination of engagement. Full separation of assets. Ava met his eyes. I've already had it reviewed by independent counsel. Everything is fair. The apartment is in your name, I'm not contesting it. The car is mine, I paid for it outright 3 years ago, and the title proves it. My personal savings are my own. I'm not asking for anything from you, Ethan. I just want to be done. He stared at the papers like they were written in a language he couldn't read. You're joking. I've never been more serious. You can't just, Ava, we've been together 7 years. You don't throw that away over one misunderstanding in court. One misunderstanding? She shook her head. Ethan, you testified against me under oath. You put me in a position where I could have gone to federal prison. And you're calling it a misunderstanding. You're overreacting. You always do this, you take everything to the extreme. You're emotional, Ava. That's why I didn't tell you about Claire at first. Because I knew you'd blow it out of proportion. There it is, Ava said. The real reason. You didn't tell me because you don't respect me. You never have. You think I'm emotional. You think I'm small. You think I'm someone you can use and discard when it's convenient. That's not true. Then prove it, she said. Tell me right now that you believe Claire framed me. Tell me you're going to the prosecution today and recant your testimony. Tell me you're going to stand in that courtroom and say you were wrong. Ethan opened his mouth. Closed it. Looked away. I didn't think so, Ava said. You don't understand the position this puts me in, he said, his voice low. If I recant, I'm admitting perjury. My license, my firm, my entire career. Your career, Ava finished. Always your career. Never me. Ava, please. Just, let's talk about this in a few days. You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. You'll come to your senses. I came to my senses the moment you opened your mouth on that witness stand, she said. She picked up her bag. I'm staying at a hotel until I find a place. Don't contact me unless it's through my lawyer. She walked toward the door. His voice stopped her again, but this time it wasn't desperate. It was something worse, arrogant. Certain. You'll be back, Ethan said. You always come back. You don't have anywhere else to go, Ava. You don't have a career without me. You don't have a life without me. You'll realize that in a week, and you'll come crawling back. And when you do, we'll forget this ever happened. Ava didn't turn around. She just smiled, small, sad, knowing. Keep telling yourself that, Ethan. She closed the door behind her. The news broke 3 days later. Ryan Anderson held a press conference at the Anderson Group headquarters. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Ryan stood at the podium in a black suit, his expression unreadable, and delivered 5 sentences that changed everything. Effective immediately, Ms. Ava Thompson will be joining the Anderson Group's legal division as senior counsel. Ms. Thompson is a licensed attorney. She passed the bar 5 years ago, and brings a level of expertise that speaks for itself. We are fortunate to have her. Any further questions regarding her personal matters should be directed to her legal representation. Thank you. The room exploded. Senior counsel. Licensed attorney. 5 years ago. The woman everyone had dismissed as just Ethan Collins' girlfriend was a qualified lawyer who had been hiding her credentials the entire time. Ava watched the press conference from her hotel room. Her phone had been ringing nonstop, reporters, former colleagues, people she hadn't spoken to in years. She turned it off. There was a knock at the door. Ryan stood in the hallway, a coffee in one hand and a folder in the other. You didn't have to do that, Ava said. I wanted to, Ryan replied. You've been invisible long enough. She stepped aside to let him in. I haven't practiced in 5 years. I don't even know if my license is still active. It is. I checked. He handed her the folder. Your bar status is clear. No disciplinary actions. You're good to go. Why are you doing this? Ryan looked at her for a long moment. Because you're the most capable person I've ever met, and you've spent 7 years letting a man convince you that you're not. It's time someone reminded you who you are. Ava took the folder. Inside was an employment contract, already drafted, already signed by the Anderson Group's board. The salary was more than she had ever imagined making. The title was real. The offer was real. One condition, Ryan said. Of course. You don't take this job because you're running from Ethan. You take it because you're ready to stop hiding. Ava looked down at the contract. Then back at Ryan. For the first time since the courtroom, she felt something that wasn't anger or grief or betrayal. She felt steady. I'm ready, she said. That evening, Ethan's phone rang. It was his senior partner, Marcus Hayes. Ethan, have you seen the news? Marcus sounded strained. Ryan Anderson just hired Ava Thompson as senior counsel. Senior counsel, Ethan. Do you have any idea what this means? It means she found a job, Ethan said, but his stomach was sinking. Good for her. No, you idiot. It means she's been a licensed attorney this whole time. 5 years. 5 years she's been qualified and nobody knew because she was too busy playing house with you. Do you know how many cases she worked on for us? How many of those wins were actually hers? Ethan didn't answer. He was staring at his computer screen, at the article Marcus had just sent him. Ava Thompson, licensed attorney, joins Anderson Group as senior counsel. There was a photo of her, confident, composed, her chin high. She looked like a completely different person from the woman who had walked out of his apartment 3 days ago. Ethan, Marcus said, we just lost a senior-level legal mind who's been doing the work of 3 associates for free. You need to fix this. Whatever is going on between you two, you fix it. Because if she starts working for Anderson, she's going to remember exactly who did what. And she's going to bury us. Ethan hung up. He looked at the dissolution papers still sitting on his kitchen table. He had been so sure she would come back. So sure she couldn't survive without him. But the woman in that photo? She wasn't surviving. She was already winning. Ava's first week at Anderson Group should have been a trial period. It wasn't. By Wednesday, she had already identified a critical loophole in a $200 million acquisition deal that 3 partners had missed. By Friday, she had rewritten the entire liability clause and saved the client from a tax exposure that would have sunk the merger. Ryan didn't say I told you so. He just slid a new case file across her desk and said, your turn. The whispers started fast. She's only here because of Ryan. She's Ethan Collins' ex. She's writing on Anderson's name. Ava heard every single one of them. She didn't respond. She just kept working. On her second Monday, the firm's CFO cornered her in the elevator. Thompson, that Morrison restructuring you handled, brilliant. But between us, how much of that was Ryan feeding you the strategy? Ava looked at him. All of it. He told me exactly which shell company to trace, which offshore account to flag, and which judge would be most receptive to the filing. I just executed his instructions perfectly. The CFO blinked. Wait, really? No, Ava said, stepping off the elevator. I built that strategy from scratch in 4 hours. But thanks for asking. The CFO didn't question her again. The media picked up the story within 2 weeks. Forbes ran a profile, Ava Thompson, the attorney Anderson Group tried to hide. The article detailed her bar admission, her years of behind-the-scenes legal work, and the fact that she had ghostwritten at least 4 appellate briefs that Ethan had argued, and one, as his own. Ethan's phone didn't stop ringing. Did you know she was licensed? His mother asked during their weekly call. Your father and I were just saying, we always wondered why she never practiced. We assumed she wasn't qualified. She never told me she was taking the bar, Ethan lied. He had known. She had studied at the kitchen table for 6 months. He had told her it was a waste of time because there's no market for new attorneys right now. He opened his laptop and searched her name. The results made his chest tight. Ava Thompson, legal strategist. Ava Thompson, senior counsel. Ava Thompson, the woman who had been sitting across from him every night for 7 years, and he had never once asked what she wanted. At Anderson Group, Claire Wilson showed up unannounced. She had a meeting scheduled with Ryan, or so she claimed. The receptionist nearly turned her away until Ava walked through the lobby and Claire intercepted her. Ava, please. I need to talk to you. Whatever you have to say, you can say it to my attorney, Ava said, not breaking stride. It wasn't supposed to go this far. The files, the testimony, Ethan just panicked. He wasn't thinking clearly. You have to know he didn't mean to hurt you. Ava stopped. Turned. Claire, do you know what perjury carries in this state? Up to 5 years. Ethan lied under oath. On the stand. In federal court. And you're standing here asking me to feel sorry for him? I'm saying he was manipulated. By you, Ava finished. You manipulated him. You manipulated the evidence. You manipulated the entire narrative. And the best part? He still believes you're the victim. Claire's eyes filled with tears. The same tears that had convinced Ethan to destroy Ava. But Ava didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not pity. Just exhaustion at how predictable it all was. Save the performance, Ava said. Ryan's already flagged the server logs. We know exactly when those files were accessed and by whose credentials. You have about 48 hours before the DA sees this. Claire went white. You wouldn't. I absolutely would. Ava stepped closer. You wanted to play in the big leagues, Claire. Welcome to the game. That afternoon, Ryan found Ava on the rooftop terrace, a legal pad in her lap and a cup of black coffee beside her. You didn't have to threaten her, Ryan said. I didn't threaten her. I stated facts. Ryan sat down across from her. You're enjoying this. I'm enjoying finally being able to fight back, Ava corrected. There's a difference. He was quiet for a moment. You know, when we were kids, you told me you wanted to be a prosecutor. You said you wanted to put bad people in prison and make sure innocent people never had to prove they were good enough. Ava looked up. I was 12. Some things don't change. She looked back at her legal pad. I'm not that girl anymore, Ryan. No, he said softly. You're better. The press conference happened 2 days later. Ryan stood at the podium with Ava at his side. Recent media reports have questioned Ms. Thompson's qualifications, Ryan said, his voice carrying across the room. Let me be clear, Ava Thompson passed the bar exam on her first attempt, scoring in the 98th percentile. She has been a licensed attorney in this state for 5 years. Her work speaks for itself. Her success requires no man's validation. Not mine. Not anyone's. Ava stood beside him and didn't flinch. The cameras flashed. The room buzzed. And for the first time in 7 years, she felt like the person she had always been meant to be. Ethan watched the press conference from his office. The TV was muted, but he didn't need sound to understand what was happening. Ryan Anderson was claiming her. Publicly. Forcefully. And Ava, his Ava, the woman who used to light up every time he walked into a room, was standing there like she had never needed him at all. He picked up his phone. Stared at her contact photo, a picture from 2 years ago, her laughing at a farmer's market, sunlight in her hair. He had taken that photo. She had loved that photo. He typed a message. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Finally, he set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. What have I done? Claire Wilson requested the final hearing be open to the media. She wanted the cameras. She wanted the narrative. She wanted to walk into that courtroom and watch Ava Thompson be destroyed in front of the entire country. She got exactly what she asked for. Ava arrived 20 minutes before proceedings. She wore a charcoal gray suit Ryan had picked out for her, sharp, structured, expensive. She didn't look at the cameras. She didn't look at the gallery. She walked straight to the defense table and sat down. Ryan sat beside her. You ready? I've been ready for 2 weeks, Ava said. She just didn't know it. The judge entered. The room stood. Claire was already on the witness stand, sworn in, her eyes red like she'd been crying in the bathroom beforehand. Her attorney, a nervous-looking associate from a mid-tier firm, nodded at her. Ava Thompson accessed those files with malicious intent, Claire said, her voice trembling. She was jealous of my relationship with Ethan. She wanted to frame me. I have text messages. Objection, Ryan said without standing. Hearsay, and we've already moved to exclude those messages as inauthentic. Overruled for now, the judge said. Ms. Wilson, produce the messages. Claire's attorney handed a printed transcript to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. The judge scanned it. These appear to be from Ms. Thompson's number. Ms. Thompson, do these messages reflect your words? Ava didn't look at the papers. No. Then how do you explain? I don't need to explain, Ava said, standing now. Because I'm about to show you exactly how those messages were created. She turned to Ryan. He nodded and stood. Your Honor, the defense submits Exhibit C12. A forensic report from an independent cybersecurity firm confirming that Ms. Thompson's phone was cloned on the evening of March 14. The cloning occurred at 11:23 p.m. While Ms. Thompson was at a charity gala, on camera, the entire night. The texts in question were sent at 11:47 p.m. From a device that was not in her possession. The courtroom went silent. Claire's face drained of color. That's not possible. She must have. Ms. Wilson, Ava said, stepping toward the stand. Let me ask you something. When you accessed the Anderson Group server room on the night of March 12, what did you use to badge in? Claire's attorney shot to his feet. Your Honor, this line of questioning is irrelevant. It's directly relevant to the charges, Ryan said coolly. Ms. Wilson is the one who brought the cloning narrative. We're establishing the timeline. The judge waved a hand. Answer the question, Ms. Wilson. Claire swallowed. I used my own badge. Your own badge, Ava repeated. The same badge that was deactivated at 9 p.m. that night for a system upgrade. So you used someone else's, didn't you? Whose badge, Claire? I don't remember. Ethan's, Ava said. You used Ethan's badge. Because you knew he'd left it in his desk drawer. Because you'd been in his office that afternoon. Because you planned this. I did not plan this. Claire's voice cracked. She was crying now, real tears, not the performative ones. Ethan told me to move the files. He said it would help his case against the competitor. I was just following his instructions. The gallery exploded. Ava didn't move. She just looked at Claire with the kind of calm that comes from knowing you've already won. Let me repeat that for the record, Ava said to the court reporter. Ms. Wilson just testified, under oath, that Mr. Ethan Collins instructed her to move the files. Is that correct, Ms. Wilson? Claire nodded, sobbing. Yes. He said it would give him leverage. He said Ava would never find out. He said, she looked at the gallery, at the cameras, at the dozens of people watching her fall apart. He said Ava was too stupid to notice. Ava felt the air leave her lungs. Not because it hurt. Because it confirmed everything she had already known. The doors at the back opened. Ethan Collins walked in. He looked like hell. 3 days of stubble, a wrinkled shirt, no tie. He had been subpoenaed but hadn't shown up until now. He stood at the bar, his eyes locked on Claire, then on Ava. Your Honor, Ethan said, his voice hoarse. I'd like to address the court. The judge stared at him. Mr. Collins, you are not on the docket today. I don't care. Ethan stepped forward. I need to say this. Everything Claire just said, about me telling her to move the files, about calling Ava stupid, it's true. All of it. I told her to move them. I told her Ava wouldn't notice. I said things about Ava that I can never take back. Ava turned to look at him. For the first time since the first hearing, she actually looked at him. I testified against Ava because I was trying to protect myself, Ethan said. I knew the files were moved. I knew Claire was involved. And I panicked. I threw Ava under the bus because I thought if I admitted I was part of it, my career was over. I chose my reputation over the woman I claimed to love. And I will live with that for the rest of my life. The gallery was dead silent. Even the cameras had stopped clicking. Mr. Collins, the judge said slowly, you are admitting to suborning perjury and obstruction of justice. I am, Ethan said. He didn't look at the judge. He looked at Ava. I'm also admitting that I was wrong about everything. About Claire. About Ava. About who I am. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too arrogant to see what was right in front of me. Ava didn't say anything. She just stood there, her expression unreadable. I don't expect you to forgive me, Ethan said. I don't even expect you to look at me. But I needed you to hear it. From me. In front of everyone. He stepped back from the bar. His shoulders were shaking. He turned and walked out of the courtroom without another word. The judge turned to Ava. Ms. Thompson, based on today's testimony and the forensic evidence submitted, this court finds you fully exonerated of all charges. The case is dismissed with prejudice. The gavel came down. Ava exhaled. 4 weeks. 4 weeks of her life she would never get back. But it was over. It was finally over. She started to gather her files. Ryan's hand found hers, not grabbing, not pulling, just there. Steady. Ava, Ryan said quietly. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. She looked at their joined hands. Then at the doors Ethan had just walked through. Then back at Ryan. I'm good, she said. Let's go. They walked out together, past the cameras, past the reporters shouting questions, past the people who had spent a month calling her a criminal. She didn't answer a single one of them. She didn't need to. The truth had spoken for itself. The Sterling Foundation annual gala was the kind of event where careers were made and reputations were buried. Ava had attended twice before, both times as Ethan's +1, both times relegated to the periphery while he networked with judges and firm partners. She had spent those evenings smiling politely, making small talk about the weather, and wondering when she would be allowed to leave. This year, she had her own invitation. Senior Counsel, Anderson Group. Seat at the head table. Ryan escorted her through the entrance. Heads turned immediately. Whispers rippled through the crowd, the same crowd that had once ignored her or, worse, pitted her as Ethan Collins' girlfriend. Ava. Darling, congratulations on the case dismissal. Victoria Sterling herself, the host, pulled Ava into a hug. We've been following your work at Anderson. Absolutely brilliant. Are you free for lunch next week? I'd love to discuss our foundation's legal strategy. Ava smiled. I'd be happy to, Victoria. Across the room, she spotted Ethan. He was standing alone near the bar, a drink in his hand he hadn't touched. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. The last time Ava had seen him in person was when he walked out of that courtroom. Now, watching him from across a crowded room, she felt nothing. Not anger. Not satisfaction. Just a quiet, settled certainty that she had made the right choice. He started walking toward her. "Ava," he said when he reached her. His voice was low, meant only for her. You look incredible." "Thank you, Ethan. I've been trying to reach you. Your lawyer says you're not taking personal calls." "I'm not. I needed to see you. To say something that isn't in a courtroom or through a third party." He glanced at Ryan, who was standing a few feet away, giving them space but not leaving. "Can we talk? Alone? I think we've said everything we need to say. Please." The word came out rough. 5 minutes. "That's all I'm asking." Ava sighed. She looked at Ryan. He gave the smallest nod. "Go ahead, but I'm right here." She stepped a few feet away with Ethan. 5 minutes. "I read the transcripts from the final hearing," Ethan said. "Every word. I've read them 5 times. And Ava, I need you to know, I meant what I said in court. Every word of it. I was wrong. About Claire. About you. About everything. I know. I've submitted a formal affidavit to the Bar Association admitting to perjury. I'm facing disbarment. My firm is dissolving. Marcus Hayes already jumped ship to a competitor. I've lost everything. That's not my fault, Ethan. I know that too." He ran a hand over his face. "That's what kills me. I did this. I did it all to myself. And the worst part? Even if I could go back and change it, even if I could undo every lie I told, you still wouldn't be mine. Because you'd still be you. And I'd still be the man who made you feel small." Ava was quiet for a moment. "You're right. I wouldn't." "Then give me something," he said. "One chance. One date. One conversation where I'm not your enemy and you're not my regret. Just 2 people who used to love each other, talking like human beings." "I don't miss you, Ethan," Ava said simply. "I miss who I thought you were. But that person never existed. And I'm not going to keep looking for him." Ethan's shoulders dropped. He nodded, once, like he had been expecting that answer but needed to hear it anyway. "You're right. Of course you're right." He stepped back. "For what it's worth, the Ava Thompson I see tonight? The one Victoria Sterling is fawning over, the one Ryan Anderson can't take his eyes off of, the one who walked into this room like she owns it? That's who you were the entire time. I just refused to see it." He turned and walked away. Ava rejoined Ryan. "That was fast. Was it enough?" Ryan asked. "It was exactly what I needed. And exactly what I expected." She adjusted the strap of her dress. "Now, if you'll excuse me, Victoria Sterling is waiting." The evening's keynote speaker was delayed, so Victoria took the microphone early to make announcements. She tapped it twice. "Before we begin, I have a rather extraordinary piece of news to share. Many of you know Ava Thompson, recently cleared of all charges, now senior counsel at Anderson Group. What you may not know is that Ava is also the eldest daughter of Robert and Catherine Thompson." The room went dead silent. Ava froze mid-sip of her champagne. For those unfamiliar, Victoria continued, "The Thompson family owns Thompson Global Logistics, a privately held company with operations in 14 countries. Robert Thompson has been a major donor to this foundation for 20 years. And his daughter, Ava, has chosen to build her career entirely on her own merit, without leveraging the family name. I think that deserves a round of applause." The room erupted. People were standing, clapping, staring at Ava like she had just grown a second head. Thompson Global Logistics. Revenue north of $3 billion annually. One of the largest private companies in the state. And Ava Thompson, the woman everyone had dismissed as just a girlfriend, as not qualified, as emotional and unstable, was the heir to all of it. Ethan, standing at the back of the room, set his untouched drink down on a nearby table. His hands were shaking. $3 billion. She had been a billionaire's daughter this entire time. She had never needed him. Not his money, not his name, not his connections. She had chosen him because she loved him. And he had thrown it away because he thought she was beneath him. He laughed, a short, bitter sound that nobody heard over the applause. "She never needed me," he whispered to himself. Not once. After the clapping died down, people swarmed Ava. Handshakes, business cards, invitations to speak at conferences, offers to collaborate. The same people who had looked through her 6 months ago were now fighting for her attention. Ryan appeared at her side, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back. "You okay?" "I'm fine," Ava said. Then, softer, "I didn't know Victoria was going to do that." I figured. He smiled. Your secret's out. How does it feel? Like I just got promoted and outed at the same time. Welcome to the Anderson Group, he said. Where nothing is ever simple. Ava laughed. For the first time that night, it was real. Across the room, Ethan watched her laugh. She was radiant. Surrounded by people who respected her, supported by a man who had loved her longer and better than he ever had. She was everything he had thrown away. And she was everything he could never get back. He turned and left the gala without saying goodbye to anyone. He had seen everything he needed to see. Ethan Collins started showing up at the Anderson Group building on a Tuesday at 7:14 a.m. He was there when Ava arrived, leaning against a black sedan, a coffee cup in each hand. Ava, wait, I just need 2 minutes. She didn't slow down. Ryan was already holding the lobby door open for her. She walked past Ethan without breaking stride. Your favorite, oat milk latte, extra shot, Ethan called after her. I remembered. You remembered the coffee order, Ava said, stopping but not turning. You forgot I passed the bar. She went inside. By Friday, security had a standing order, do not let Ethan Collins pass the lobby. By the following Tuesday, he was there with a letter, a formal affidavit addressed to the state bar, admitting to perjury, requesting voluntary disbarment, and naming Claire Wilson as the architect of the entire scheme. He handed it to a junior associate in the elevator, who delivered it to Ava's office without a word. Ava read it once. Slid it into her shredder. He's destroying his career for you, Ryan said that evening. They were in his office, reviewing a merger agreement. I didn't ask him to. He's trying to prove he's sorry. Proving things is his problem, not mine, Ava said without looking up from the document. He spent 7 years making me prove I was worth his time. Now he wants me to care that he's finally feeling the consequences of his choices? No thanks. Ryan was quiet for a moment. You're not curious what he'd say if you actually talked to him? I already know what he'd say. He'd say he was wrong. He'd say he's sorry. He'd say he can't live without me. And I'd say, she looked up, her eyes steady, I don't care. The press conference happened the next morning. Ethan called it himself. No PR team. No firm backing him. Just him, a podium, and a room full of reporters who had torn him apart 6 weeks ago and were now ready to do it again. I lied under oath, Ethan said, his voice flat and exhausted. I gave false testimony against Ava Thompson because I was protecting Claire Wilson and, more honestly, protecting myself. Ava never accessed those files. She never distributed them. She never asked anyone to lie for her. I did. I am solely responsible for the perjury, and I have submitted a voluntary petition for disbarment to the State Bar Association. A reporter shouted a question. Mr. Collins, are you saying Ms. Thompson was completely innocent? She was innocent from the beginning, Ethan said. I was too arrogant to see it. I chose to believe a woman I'd known for 6 months over the woman I'd loved for 7 years. That's not a mistake. That's a character flaw. And I have to live with it. Another reporter, is this about winning her back? Ethan laughed. It was a hollow sound. If I thought groveling in public would bring her back, I'd do it every day for the rest of my life. But Ava Thompson doesn't belong to me anymore. She hasn't for a long time. This isn't about getting her back. It's about making sure the record is clear. She deserved that much. She deserved everything, and I gave her nothing. The footage went viral within an hour. Hashtag Ethan Collins disbarment trended nationwide. The comments were brutal. Finally, good riddance, Ava was too good for him anyway. But buried in the hate were the people who finally understood what Ava had been saying all along. That night, Ava watched the press conference alone in her new apartment. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just sat on her couch, knees pulled to her chest, and let the weight of it settle. There was a knock at the door. She checked the peephole. Ryan. She opened the door. He was holding a paper bag from her favorite Thai place and a bottle of wine. I figured you'd forget to eat, he said. I was about to order, she lied. Liar. He walked in like he belonged there, which, she realized, he did. Pad CEW, extra broccoli. Spring rolls. No peanuts. You remembered. I remember everything about you, Ava. That's the difference. They ate on the couch. No TV. No small talk. Just quiet company and the kind of comfortable silence that only existed between people who had known each other their whole lives. You don't have to decide anything tonight, Ryan said eventually. Or tomorrow. Or next year. I'm not Ethan. I'm not going to make you prove you love me. I'm not going to make you choose between your career and me. I'm just going to be here. However you need me. Ava set her fork down. Why? Because I've been in love with you since we were 16 and you told off the principal for trying to suspend me over a fight I didn't start, Ryan said. And I spent 7 years watching you pour yourself into a man who never saw you. I'm not going to be another person who makes you earn my attention. You've been in love with me since 16? Since 14, actually. But 16 is when I knew for sure. Ava felt something shift in her chest, not the sharp, painful kind of shift she had felt in the courtroom. This was softer. Steadier. Like the ground finally felt solid beneath her feet. You're dangerous, Ryan Anderson, she said. Why? Because you make it really hard to keep my walls up. He smiled. Good. Those walls were never meant for me. Ethan saw the photos 3 days later. Paparazzi had caught Ryan and Ava leaving a restaurant, Ryan's hand on the small of her back, Ava laughing at something he said, their body language relaxed and intimate in a way Ethan had never achieved even at his best. He stared at the images on his phone until the screen went dark. Then he threw the phone across the room. He had spent 7 years with Ava. 7 years of building a life together. And Ryan Anderson had shown up, been patient, been kind, been constant, and in a matter of weeks, he had done what Ethan never could. He had made her feel safe. Ethan sank onto his couch and stared at the ceiling. His bar license was gone. His firm was gone. His reputation was gone. And the woman he loved was gone. All of it. Gone. Because he had chosen wrong. Because he had been wrong about everything. He closed his eyes and whispered into the empty room. I'm sorry, Ava. I'm so sorry. But the room didn't answer. And neither did she. Claire Wilson's last play was exactly what everyone expected. She leaked a dossier to Daily Ledger, a gossip site that specialized in character assassination. The headline hit at 6 a.m. Ava Thompson's hidden past, the lies behind the perfect attorney. The dossier contained everything: Ava's decision to delay law school, the years she spent as Ethan's assistant, text messages between her and Ethan that made her look desperate, photos of her crying outside court, and a claim that she had only passed the bar because of connections through her family. Claire's name wasn't on the leak. But the digital footprint led straight back to a burner email she had created 3 days after the final hearing. Ava saw the article while eating breakfast. She read it once, put her phone down, and finished her eggs. Ryan called 10 minutes later. Did you see it? I'm reading it over a second time, Ava said. It's actually impressive how much effort she put into being wrong. You want me to handle it? No, Ava said. I want to handle it myself. But I'll need your PR team on standby. By noon, Ava had drafted a response. She didn't deny a single thing. She confirmed everything. Yes, she had delayed law school to support Ethan. Yes, she had worked behind the scenes on cases that bore his name. Yes, she had cried outside court because she was terrified of going to prison for a crime she didn't commit. And then she added one paragraph that changed the entire narrative. My past is not a stain on my record. It is the reason I am who I am. I delayed my career to support someone I loved. I worked in the shadows so he could stand in the light. And when he turned on me, I didn't break, I built. My name is Ava Thompson. I am a licensed attorney. I am senior counsel at Anderson Group. And I am the daughter of Robert and Catherine Thompson, not that I needed their name to earn mine. The only lie here is the one Claire Wilson has been telling about herself. She posted it on LinkedIn. Then on Twitter. Then on her personal website, which she had just launched that morning. The internet flipped within an hour. #StandWithAva trended. Lawyers, law students, and women across industries shared their own stories of being sidelined, overlooked, and underestimated. The hashtag #MyPastIsNotMyShame followed. Ava's post hit 2 million views before dinner. Claire's burner account was traced by noon. The forensic report Ryan had been sitting on since the hearing, the one proving Claire had cloned Ava's phone, was submitted to the DA's office with a criminal referral for identity theft, evidence tampering, and perjury. Claire was arrested at her apartment that evening. She didn't cry this time. She just stared at the officers with dead eyes and said, "He made me do it. Ethan made me do it." Nobody believed her anymore. Not even her own attorney. Ethan showed up at Ava's office the next day. Security almost threw him out before Ryan intervened. "Let him up," Ryan said. "She should hear this." Ethan looked like a ghost of himself. His suit was rumpled. His eyes were sunken. He smelled like he hadn't showered in days. He walked into Ava's office and closed the door behind him. "I'm not here to ask you for anything," he said. His voice was flat, empty. "I'm here to tell you I'm going to the DA on Monday. I'm pleading guilty to perjury. I'm taking full responsibility for everything, Claire, the files, the testimony, all of it. I'm not going to let her take the fall alone. She was a liar, but I was the one who gave her the power." Ava set her pen down. "You don't have to do that, Ethan. The evidence speaks for itself." "I do," he said. "Because if I don't, I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I let you carry the weight of my choices. You've already carried enough for me, Ava. 7 years of carrying me. I'm done being the man you have to drag across the finish line." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. "This is a waiver of all my rights to the apartment, the car, and the joint accounts. I don't want anything from our life together. You earned all of it." Ava didn't take the envelope. "Ethan, I'm not asking you to forgive me," he said. "I'm asking you to be free of me. Completely. No loose ends. No what ifs. Just be happy, Ava. You deserve that." He set the envelope on her desk and walked out. Ryan appeared in the doorway a moment later. "You okay?" "I think that's the first honest thing he's ever said to me," Ava said. "Then he finally grew up," Ryan said. 7 years too late, but still. That Friday, Ryan took Ava to the rooftop of the Anderson Group tower. It wasn't a fancy setup, just 2 chairs, a bottle of wine, and the city skyline. He sat across from her, his hands folded, his expression more serious than she had ever seen. "I've been in love with you for most of my life," he said. "I've watched you love someone else. I've watched you get hurt. I've watched you rise. And I've never once doubted that you were the person I wanted to spend my life with." "Ava," he said, and for the first time, his voice wavered. "I don't want to be the man you settle for because the other one broke you. I want to be the man you choose because you know I'll never stop choosing you. Marry me. Not because you need saving. Not because you need proving. But because I love you exactly as you are, and I always will." He pulled a ring box from his pocket. Simple. Elegant. Not ostentatious. Exactly what she would have picked for herself. Ava looked at the ring. Then at Ryan. Then at the city below them, the same city where she had spent 7 years invisible, and the same city where she had finally, fully, become herself. "Yes," she said. "Obviously yes." Ryan slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "I love you, Ava Thompson," he said. "I love you too, Ryan Anderson," she replied. "And I'm done looking back." Ava Thompson and Ryan Anderson's wedding was held at the Thompson family estate on a Saturday in late October. It wasn't a secret ceremony. Victoria Sterling was there, half the State Bar Association, every partner at Anderson Group, and a handful of reporters camped outside the gates. But inside, it was intimate. Family. Close friends. The people who had stayed when it mattered. Ava stood at the altar in a simple white dress, no veil, her hair down the way Ryan had always said he liked it. When she turned to face him, the entire room faded. There was only Ryan, 6'2", broad-shouldered, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. The officiant smiled. "Ryan, do you have your vows?" "I do," Ryan said. He didn't look at his notes. He had memorized every word. "Ava, I've loved you since we were 14 years old. I watched you give your heart to someone who didn't know what to do with it. I watched you break. And I watched you rebuild yourself into someone stronger than anyone in this room. I don't want to be the man who saves you, because you never needed saving. I want to be the man who stands beside you while you save yourself. Every single day. That's my promise." Ava blinked back tears. "Ryan Anderson, you have been the constant in every chapter of my life. When I doubted myself, you saw me. When I was invisible, you found me. When I was broken, you didn't try to fix me, you just stayed. My vow to you is simple: I will never make you prove your worth to me. I will never choose anyone over you. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure you know exactly how loved you are." The officiant beamed. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Ryan, you may kiss your bride." He did. The room erupted. The reception was in full swing when Ava felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned. Her father, Robert Thompson, was standing there with a glass of whiskey and an expression she rarely saw, pride, unmixed with anything else. "Your mother and I always knew you'd come into your own," he said. "We just didn't expect it to be quite this dramatic." Ava laughed. "You raised me to be thorough, Dad." "I was thorough." He pulled her into a hug. "We're proud of you. Not because of the firm, not because of the name, not because of any of it. Because you didn't let them break you. The music shifted to something slower. Ryan found her on the dance floor, his hand sliding around her waist. You're crying, he observed. I'm happy, she said. There's a difference. I know the difference, he said softly. I've seen both. They swayed in silence for a moment. Then Ava felt eyes on her. She looked past Ryan's shoulder, and there he was. Ethan Collins. He was standing at the edge of the reception tent, just inside the entrance, dressed in a suit that looked like it had been bought yesterday. His hair was shorter. His face was thinner. He looked older than he had 6 months ago. He looked like a man who had lived through something that had changed him. Ryan followed her gaze. His body tensed slightly, but he didn't let go of her. Ava excused herself. She walked toward Ethan, her heels clicking on the stone path. When she reached him, she stopped at a polite distance. Ethan. Ava. His voice was quiet. You look beautiful. Thank you. He swallowed hard. I didn't come to cause a scene. I needed to see you. One last time. Married. Happy. The way you were always meant to be. You shouldn't be here, Ethan. I know. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This is the final dissolution paperwork. Everything's signed. The apartment, the accounts, everything is officially yours. I also included a letter to the Bar Association, full confession, no caveats. It's done. Ava took the envelope. Thank you. I read your post, he said. The one about your past. It was the most honest thing I've ever read from anyone. Including myself. I meant every word. I know. He smiled, small, sad, genuine. You always did. That was never your problem, Ava. Your problem was that you believed the wrong person when they told you your truth wasn't enough. Ava was quiet. Then, are you okay, Ethan? I'm learning how to be, he said. I start community service next month. 200 hours. I'm also enrolled in an ethics course, ironic, I know. But I need to figure out who I am when I'm not wearing a tie and a title. I hope you find it, Ava said. And she meant it. I won't, he said. Not the way you found yours. But I'll keep looking. He paused. Tell Ryan I said congratulations. He's a better man than I ever was. He always was. He is, Ava agreed. Ethan nodded. He looked at her one last time, really looked at her. Like he was memorizing her face so he could carry it with him into whatever came next. Goodbye, Ava, he said. Goodbye, Ethan. He turned and walked out of the tent. Past the reporters. Past the gates. Out of her life. For good. Ava stood there for a moment, the envelope in her hand, the music behind her, the man she loved waiting a few feet away. She thought about the courtroom. The betrayal. The 7 years she had spent trying to be enough for someone who never saw her. The 7 weeks it had taken to rebuild herself into someone who didn't need to be enough for anyone but herself. She turned back to the reception. Ryan was watching her, his expression open, patient, certain. She walked toward him. Not because she had to. Not because she was running from something. But because she wanted to. Everything okay? He asked. Everything is perfect, she said. Let's dance. And they did. 6 months later, Ava Thompson Anderson opened her own firm, Thompson Anderson, a boutique practice specializing in commercial litigation and wrongful conviction defense. Her first client was a young paralegal who had been framed by a senior partner. Ava took the case pro bono and won in 3 weeks. Claire Wilson pled guilty to 3 felony charges and was sentenced to 4 years. She never practiced law again. Ethan Collins completed his community service, passed his ethics course, and took a job teaching legal writing at a community college. He never remarried. And Ryan Anderson? He spent every day proving that the best love story isn't the one where someone fights to keep you. It's the one where someone never lets you go in the first place.